Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 100 Days of Magic, the place where we're going through tips and tricks for you for how you can build magical habits, the rituals and routines and spells that fill your life with magic. I'm the host of this space where we're broadcasting. That's the Crossroads of Magic and Mastery, where you can come together, share your work, share your thoughts, share your ideas with others. And the headmistress of the School of Magic and Mastery, where you can take all of these concepts and dive even deeper and make them a part of your life every day. So, hello again. Hey, Jackie. Glad you're back. Hey, Boris. Hey, Claudia. We have lots of people ready to dive into part 3 of our series on spells for discernment. This was Jackie's brainchild, so I'm glad that she's here as we work through the details. A couple days ago, we talked about what is a discernment. Yesterday, we talked about planning for a discernment spell. We took Jackie's needs in mind because she would like to have a place where she can go build a relationship with the deities that she's going to be working with, to build her discernment, her spiritual practice to build discernment. She's going to focus on the sun, build an altar space, go there every Sunday at midday when the sun is directly overhead, and begin her process from there. So, another option for doing discernment, as Don Youngblood brought up, is something that can be with you 24/7. Because unlike some of the other things that we've talked about, but like many things that we've talked about in magic, it is a process that you are developing 24/7. In the case of discernment, it's the result of deepening your spiritual practice. It's the result of mindfulness and slowing down. It doesn't matter what religion you practice, whether you're, Hindu or Muslim or Christian or Jewish or any other thing that we invent for our religious faiths. Discernment comes from showing up and plugging into spirit. Because ideally, it's spirit that is guiding the rudder of the choices that we make. And we learn discernment by practicing discernment, by holding up the choices that we have, but first recognizing that we have choices in our life. That's so we wake up and we can see what we are doing instead of just being tugged from place to place to place, unconsciously losing track of time, waking up and going, oh, I have a choice here in front of me. I could do this or I can do this. Which one is closer to getting me toward my goal? Or which one is more aligned with my spiritual calling? And using that inner wisdom to determine which way you go. So, showing up once a week is certainly going to help you deepen the connection with spirit. That is the primary basis for your new discernment skill. But what if you want more? What if you want to a little reminder, especially as you're building this new spiritual habit, to remember to wake up, to remember to connect to spirit when little situations come up in your life. If one of the challenges with building our spiritual practice is that we get so used to the ruts that we're in that we get distracted by life and we forget that we're even trying to do something. It's the same thing that happens no matter what goals you're trying to achieve for yourself. You can create a whole list of New Year's resolutions out of the best of intentions and do none of them because by the time you got to the middle of January or February, you're like, I made resolutions? What were they? I don't even remember. And that's because our brains are so, ooh, there's a bird. We forget what we had intended to do. And so part of spell work that changes our lives, it's acting as like duct tape or a million post-it notes so that we can get our wild stallion, wild mare minds to stop running all over the place and hold on to one thing until we can make it a new habit and take it for granted instead. And magic can be glue that helps with that process because, one, it's speaking the language of the subconscious, all the images. It's very rich and evocative. So we're actually down there where the habits are being made. So that gives us a big boost. And two, it's fun. Never underestimate the power of fun to make things happen faster. So let's say we want to take something of that altar and make it portable and carry it around with us 24/7. At least as a reminder that we are connected to this process. Oftentimes that takes the form of jewelry, of some kind of sacred bundle, or some kind of stone that we can put in a pocket to remind us of what we are doing. Now, in the case of, if you were just doing a spell for protection, I'd say stones in a pocket can work just fine. But if you're doing a spell for something that requires your consciousness to shift, I suspect you're better off with something on your person or in your immediate environment that you can actually see and pick up and fiddle with that is a difference to what you've had there before, because you're more likely to notice that it's there. And the trick is with this thing that by itself, if you just wear it all the time, you're going to get used to it being there, and then you're going to ignore it again, because again, that's what humans do. So you have to, it's most desirable to use jewelry in this context where you take it off and renew it once a week as part of like the kind of ceremonies that Jackie is talking about, or in some other way so that you're actually handling it on a regular basis, and that in the handling it, your subconscious is remembering what you're supposed to be doing. So once you've picked out something to work with, then it's a matter of consecrating whatever tool you were going to use. Since we're working with the sun in this case, I figured we'd do a simple candle ritual. So I'll talk to you about how to do that. We've got a little bit of time today. It's a Sunday. I don't mind going over a little bit on the weekends. So what I've done, that's why I was a little bit late, I ran around my house and I started pulling out things that might work as tools for pieces for discernment rituals. These are by no means the only things that you could choose. I had 5 minutes, and if I were going to do this for myself, I might spend more time looking around for something that felt absolutely perfect for me, but then I'm a Virgo and I geek out on that. I geek out on that way. But I wanted to talk you through why I picked up the stuff that I did as possibilities so that you can see the thinking process for yourself, so that when you go back to your own toolbox of things, you can figure out what works for you specifically. And there's 2 more things I didn't get. They're over there. I'll be right back. So just hang on there. I'm not going very far. If you could see the giant cabinets of stuff that I have, you would be overwhelmed. Maybe someday when I get around to taking you on a tour of the house, you will see what I've got. All right. Crazy witches have magical cabinets of stuff. Okay, so if you are looking for something that you can wear that you're going to be able to see, things that you can see are usually on your hands or on your wrists. If the necklace is really long, it can also work, but things that are like right up next to your neck, or your earrings that you can't see, don't necessarily have the same ability to shift your intention the way stuff that's out here that you can physically observe do. That doesn't mean that they don't work. If you feel really attached to a necklace or a pair of earrings that feel perfect for this, by all means use them. I'm telling you what will give you a better chance of working out. All right, so we're going to start the very, very simple. I keep little jars of scraps of stuff. I have several of them. This is my cord and string jar, which I just have the ends of things. And so you can see in here already, if I'm doing a sun spell, I have red cord and I have yellow cord. So maybe I'll just pull out this yellow cord. See how long it is. Pretty long. I won't need all of this for sure. Oh, there's another piece in here. Maybe it's shorter. I don't even know where this came from. But, you know, magic can work with the smallest bits of things. Okay, that one's too short. All right. So let's say the simplest thing might be when I set up my ritual or spell, I just use a piece of yellow cord big enough to tie around my wrist. As part of the spell, I could tie it to my wrist, and I could, let's say I keep a set of chime candles. They're candles of many different colors. You can get little holders for them. For the simplest kinds of candle spells, I'll just use this one. It's kind of orangey yellow, right? This burns down in about an hour or two, sometimes 3, depends on the circumstances. Not very long, which is why they're often called spell candles. A set of these on Amazon is not expensive. Like, they're under $20 for like a whole mess of them. If you go to a metaphysical bookstore, a lot of times they'll sell candles like this, but they'll sell them for 50 cents a piece, $1 a piece, crazy amounts where if you go home and look them up, you realize that you can get a whole set for like 10 cents a candle. So just warning you, there are traps in providing for your metaphysical stuff. And I never want to undercut the ability of small businesses to make money. I'm a big favor of them. But a markup of like $1 billion on little tiny things like this that you might be using on a regular basis, you got to be careful about, because I'm pretty sure it didn't cost them that much to get those into the store. I digress. So if I am doing a simple sun spell, I can get a sun candle, colored candle, and I also keep containers of essential oils. I have several of them. This one just happens to have tangerine. Tangerine, anything citrusy, is a nice sun color. If you want to add a little bit of extra layers to your magic, all you need to do is just take a little bit on your finger of the oil and rub it around the candle to anoint it. It'll give it a little extra smell. This jar's almost empty. Oh, there's still plenty. So just rub it through the candle. If you're attracting something to you, you can rub from both ends to the center. If you're drawing down energy, you can rub from the top to the bottom. All right, so we have a sunny smelling yellow candle. If you want to get really sophisticated, you could take something sharp, which I don't have with me. Not easily findable. Like a little pin or a needle or a tiny little crystal, and carve in little sun symbols in the wax of the candle. So that, again, you're layering symbols one on top of each other. So once you've chosen what you're going to work with, you know, maybe it's this simple cord, you're going to hold it, you're going to do everything that we do for a ritual. We're going to come to our space with our ingredients. We are going to sit down, ground and center ourselves. We're going to invite our spirit guides to come and be with us and help us to create a habit that deepens our discernment. We're going to light the candle, that signifies the presence of the spirit in this ritual. We're going to perhaps talk to our guides in this process about what discernment would look like for you, how it will change your life. And then we're going to do the main event. We are going to, in this case, if I was just using this cord, I may please bless this cord as a reminder for teaching me how to use my discernment skills in alignment with my soul purpose, or write whatever or say whatever makes sense for you from your heart. A lot of people like pre-written rituals and spells, and you can do that, but I highly recommend you write the spell verses out yourself rather than just using someone else's, because even though you might not think, oh, well, mine won't work as well, that is far from the truth. I'm a big believer in messy, unpolished words from your heart 10 times better than super polished words that somebody else wrote that you're just copying. Because what you want is the connection to your heart and your mouth as you spit things out. And don't feel bad that it's not perfect. Coming from a Virgo, this means a lot. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be real. And there's a difference between the two of them. All right, so you hold your cord over the candle while and say, please help me, remind me. And then in the ritual, tie the cord around your hand so that as you go through your days, you can feel it as a reminder. So this brings in a little bit of the cognitive behavioral therapy technique, the ones where you snap the rubber band every time you do something you need to remember to do it. This is the equivalent of the rubber band. It's just a rubber band that's sun-colored that's built into a magic spell. All right, so, and then finally, after you do that, you have it on, you're going to thank the spirits for the help they're going to give you. You're going to, in this case, if you're using a little chime candle, I would let the candle burn out. Please accept this candle as an offering for our continued working together, and put the candle somewhere safe so it can continue to burn out. The stove, a sink, someplace it's not going to set on fire. And then thus the ritual ends. Come back to the waking world. All right, if you want to make it a little step more sophisticated, and you have something, you don't mind using something other than like a little cord, you can go all out and look for jewelry that's designed for this. It'll last longer, that's for sure. So walking around my house, I found, now that remember the sun is reds, golds, and yellows. It's the metal gold. It's also anything that's clear that lets the light through. So here's what I came up with. I don't have a lot of gold in my house. I don't wear gold. So gold jewelry is not something that I have on hand. I'd have to go get something like that special. Brass would work fine in case of gold. But I did have this. This is a double thing of red jewelry. It's a little dark and more Marsy, but it has nice flowers that are opening on it. So this would be a possibility. If it spoke to you and said, hey, I want to help with your intention, this might be fit in with the spell. It's not speaking to me, jumping out. For me, this feels more grounding than it does opening up to intention and spirit. But I wanted to show you the logic which I'm using when I pick things up. All right, so I found this one. This one is, these are not sun colors. They're actually moon colors. But it jumped out of my thing. It's like, I could teach you how to look at the opposites of things as you make choices. So this isn't so much about the sun as it is the moon's ability to reflect the sun's light and helping us to see the plus side and the dark side of all things, which might help in the discernment process. So this is a possibility. I also picked up this. This is a little sandalwood stretchy bracelet. Sandalwood has yellow flowers and is sometimes associated with the sun. Plus, it's a very spiritual, a very spiritually smelling material. Out of these three choices, I kind of like this one the best because back to the cognitive behavioral therapy, because it's on a cord, you can snap it to remember to bring you back as a physical cue. You can hear it. To use your discernment spells. So out of the bracelets, that's what I had. But you don't have to use bracelets. You can use necklaces or something. I have this little piece of amber and I have this little piece of citron. Both of them are sun colors. The little amber has little leaves on it. So I might associate this more with nature stuff. But for the color, it could work. So if nature really appeals to you, that might be a possibility. I would think of this, though, more as in tune with nature spirits than maybe the sun spirit. This is a good choice. It's very sun. It's very pointed and directed. So putting this on a necklace might be a good option. I found a mala that's clear. Malas are nice and long, so you can hold on to them. So this might be a great possibility if I'm going to meditate on my spiritual connection and keeping it really clear. And it does have a yellow tassel on it. It's actually tied up with yellow cord. It's very crazy yellow tassel, but it is yellow tassel. This fits in thematically, especially if I wanted to sit and contemplate my discernment with spirit. You can use these malas as prayer beads for discernment, okay? But this is not something you might want to wear around all day. Or you can wind it around a wrist and it becomes more of a bracelet. But even that's a little bit much, especially if you're banging into things. Here's a really interesting choice. This is a pendant that has the sun on one side and it has a gray moonstone on the other side. So back to if you're looking for a way to align with spirit, this is very traditionally Kabbalistic. If you're thinking of the tree of life, moving up the center of the tree of life, if the moon is Yesod and your imagination and your soul calling, and the sun is your spirit, divine center, your higher self, and both of those need to be united to connect you to the divine spark. Having these two together can be a continual reminder to connect your soul and spirit in order to receive wisdom from the divine. And this one just happens to be I have it on a really long chain right now. So I can hang this around my neck and I can look down and see it because it's way down here. So there's another possibility. So all kinds of things that you might want to consider. So when you use something that's more permanent than a cord doesn't hold psychic vibrations very well. They're more temporary. But something that's got metal and some kind of stone on it can begin to serve as a talisman. A talisman is like a portable altar. It's a sacred container for spirit. So you can, in the course of your ritual, invoke spirit energies down into your talisman so they kind of ride around with you, so to speak. It's like bringing your psychic ally, giving your psychic allies a little touch point, a little home, so that as you walk around, you can kind of keep them with you so that they can continue to help and support you in the present moment. So when you do this, instead of holding the cord over the candle, you're going to replace it with this. And as you do, you're going to imagine this opening up to the spirit of, well, in this case, the sun and the moon, if I were using this. And you're going to hold it in your hands and you're going to feel the connection that you have with the sun and the moon running through you down into your hands and into this piece of jewelry that's now for as long as you're doing this ritual, and probably a lot longer. Once you dedicate a piece of jewelry like this, it's hard to forget. And as long as you remember, it remembers. So in some cases, if you don't want to use this for the thing you're doing anymore, you can't just, you can clear it, yeah, but it's always going to have the residual memory of whatever you used it for. May not be a problem when you're talking about discernment, but let's say you wanted to do this for creating a love spell. You might end up with jewelry that you don't want anymore, especially if it gets tied up into a situation that you manifest for yourself that you'd rather not remember. And then you really kind of have to give it to somebody else, clear it off. Yes, you can clear it off really well, but they won't have the memories of what it was for. So consider that carefully before you choose a, a sacred container for spirit, because it's at least semi-permanent in its connections in your brain. So you're inviting spirit to come in here, and then you are holding it over the candle, and all the rest of the ritual is the same. It's just in that moment, in that climax, you taking your spirit energy, whether you're using Reiki, whether you are using your life force energy, you are making that connection, that little energetic raising energy spark that helps build the bridge to allow spirit to connect with the object that you have designed for it or found for it that is appropriate for what you're working with. Okay? So there are several different ways, all mushed together, that you can consider making a spell to create a touchstone or a talisman for working with bringing the essence of discernment in your life. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how you live with this day to day as a practice, not just as a moment of a spell. A spell is a highly charged moment that transforms you. But, as they say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. You still have to go on with your life, even with the most transformative experiences. And the trick is learning how to integrate those experiences into your day-to-day life. So that's what we're going to talk about next. And I hope you're getting something out of these experiences. I love teaching people magic. I have 14 hours of magical training in amongst the other stuff that is in the Magic and Mastery Coven. There are trainings on using sigils. There's trainings on using rocks and herbs and colors and all kinds of things to make these kinds of magical spells. So we could spend 14 hours or longer talking about all the possibilities. But sometimes I think it's telling you how to do something is different than showing you exercises of how to do it for yourself, which is also different than you actually picking up the tools and going through the steps all by yourself. And I highly encourage you guys. I'm going to be here we're on day 40. I have 60 days left. I'm here for 60 more days to help you put this into practice. If you really want to make a habit out of making magic in your life, take advantage of the fact that I am here saying, please bring it. Bring the questions that you have. And we'll work together to make this work so that you can then put it into practice in your own life and see the benefits for yourself. Okay? All right. I hope your lives are filled with magic. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. In the meantime, if you have any questions about this video, please put them in the comment section below, and we will continue our conversation to deepen our life and fill it with magic. So until the next time, I look forward to talking to all of you.